You probably already received a few emails from me. I'm the new community manager for the Ecom Connect community. I know probably a few of you from previous sessions I've given as e-commerce expert and digital marketing. Sorry, we have a bit of a problem. Don't report. Yeah, I've been actively engaged with the ITC for a while, and I've given a few webinars, as I was saying, on the topic of digital marketing, how to get more clients, how to basically use advertising on Facebook and Instagram to get more awareness, clicks, and eventually, of course, sales. But I'm here today in a different capacity altogether. I'm here to introduce also Pamela, who's going to be talking about a topic that's also unknown to me, which is only leadership, but primarily also what she calls effortless leadership. So we're here, all of us, to discover what is effortless leadership. So to tell you a little bit about Pamela, Pamela has an MBA in business school and in business, obviously. She has participated in a lot of mentorship opportunities to support other people, such as ourselves here. And she truly, really believes in the effect this can have on helping businesses in all forms and sizes to grow and really achieve the biggest or the top of the potential that they have. So she's here in her capacity as a writer. She wrote, obviously, the book Effortless Leadership. And she's here to tell us about it. One thing we're going to have is Pamela has prepared, of course, a presentation, but a few questions for us to go through during the session. So keep that in mind. Also, we'll send Zoom polls for you to complete and answer the questions. I think that's it for me. And over to you, Pamela.
Right. Thank you, Jennifer, for the amazing introduction. I don't know what time zone you are joining us from, but good afternoon, good evening, welcome. I'm really excited to I wouldn't say share wisdom, but just share my experience, and most of my experience is written in my book. So I'm very passionate about leadership. I'm very passionate about mentorship. I'm very passionate about sharing what you have. It doesn't matter if it's knowledge, food, or your home. So I'm very passionate about sharing because I believe that's how we get to learn and we grow. So I'm very excited. Should I just jump right into my presentation, Jennifer? Good. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just a minute. I'll share my screen. All right. So when I wrote my book, a lot of people, when they would hear the title, when you say effortless leadership or effortless leader, they would laugh because they know leadership is no walk in the park. But in my journey in life, I always get asked. I see my friends, some of my friends on the call, they will definitely co-sign this, that my life seems to be effortless. And when they ask the questions, why is your life effortless? A lot of people don't realize the amount of work that goes through to make your life appear effortless, the amount of time and work it takes. So, so I wrote a book to help them navigate effortless leadership, because I feel especially African countries, we have a leadership crisis. If you're from East Africa, you know what Kenya is going through right now. As a country is, we have young people, 17, 18, realizing that if they do not stand up, they are going to live in a country that does not work for them. So a bit about myself. I know Jennifer introduced me, but as I said, I'm an author. I am a fearless influencer. Why I say this is because I belong to a church community here in East Africa that believes that we are fearless influencers of society, and our lives are meant to be led fearlessly. I saw many of them on Tuesday March in Kenya, who I'm very proud of them. But professionally, I'm a marketer and an outdoor enthusiast, but also I have been working in financial sector for a very long time. And I also chair the Uganda Marketers Society here in Uganda, which is the governing body for marketers. So the question is, maybe, like I said earlier before, what is effortless leadership? And I get asked this question every time I give talks. Why the title? Because leaders are struggling in Africa, globally. We've seen the crisis, not only in Africa, but even in Europe, there's a leadership crisis. So for me, I believe that leadership is a process. It's a process and a journey of influence for people we lead. And I can assure you, the road to effortless leadership is not rainbows and gold. It is paved with a lot of hard work and discipline. And I think those are the two things that if you don't take anything away from today, that to be a good leader, it requires a lot of work and discipline and self-actualization. I think those are the key things for any leader. If you do not know who you are or don't know what you stand for, then you will fall for anything as a leader. Maybe I'll ask Jennifer to just give us a small poll. So we're going to do a lot of interaction. So I hope you'll be able to be part of the interactive session. We'll ask a few questions in the chat or by poll. So just answer what you think your vision is.
Yeah, you should see a pop-up on the screen that basically asks that question. What Pamela wants to know is, what is your vision, both on a personal level and organizational level? I understand that these are a little bit complicated question. So even if it's just one word or a couple of words that you can reply. Also, these are questions that will help you frame your answers on the way to become an effortless leader. I got this right, Pamela?
Yes. So okay. As we go through this topic, just type in the chat and just answer the question of what your vision is as a leader, because I believe everyone is a leader or wants to be a leader if you are in this webinar, right? I don't know if we have any. Okay, I see no one. Maybe the topic is too heavy and you need to think about it. So we'll just go ahead and I'll just.
I'm gonna try to get the questions also in the chat. This way they can think about them with time as well. We have 1 second.
Yeah.
But maybe it helps a little bit, Pamela, if you answer, for example, the question like, what is your vision on possibly a personal level?
So my vision is to be part of to influence community for good. That's my vision. That's my dream vision. So a vision just explains the dream for your future that you want to achieve. Now, all of us want to be wealthy. No one wants to be poor. But in my opinion, that is not a dream, a vision that anyone should have. It's nice, and you can get there, but what is your actual vision? What do you want to be remembered for? I think that's what a vision is. Because if you say you want to make money, then you will do anything to make money. But for me, my vision is to impact society positively, whether it's through my mentorship, my book, or any of the community activities that I'm currently involved in. Yeah. So your vision is a guiding light. It just lights the path for you and allows you to choose what direction to go. So if I want to make money with no actual vision, I might become a drug dealer, and that destroys society. So a vision really for me is something that you want to be remembered for. Okay. Maybe to just help, I will continue and break down the visions. I will not pronounce your name because it will, yeah. Planning and utilizing time as well resources according to our goal. Thank you for that. So maybe because this is a bit heavy, I feel that as a leader, if you don't have a vision, then you have no job being a leader. It will be like the blind leading the blind. So as we go through this session, just think about what your vision is. Think about what you want to do. So I believe that every leader has a personal vision. For me, one of my visions this year, I set annual vision, personal visions, was to learn how to run a big team, like a big sales team, so I can improve on that skill. Because in my career, I've had small teams. So I sort of switched careers this year to have a bigger team. So I came from running 5 people to about 250 people. It has been an intense 5 months this year. But that was my vision, my personal vision as a leader. Because you can say you're a leader and you're leading 4 people. So all of a sudden you have 250 people. How do you lead them? And as a leader, personally, I'm continuously learning and I'm continuously growing. Now, for a lot of people on this call, you run your own businesses because I'm privileged to consult some projects with ITC, and I work primarily with SMEs. So I've seen that a lot of leaders don't have any of this. They don't have a leadership vision and they don't have personal vision. And it's very clear for me as a leader to have a vision. You have to have your personal vision and your leadership vision, which is aspirational for the company and the future it serves. That serves as your visionary leadership goal. But also, one of the things that we need to understand as leaders is to understand what our leadership style is. And that sort of allows you to figure out your vision. Okay. I like someone's vision is to have more nutritious and healthy food. I think that is a very good vision. Thank you very much for your answers. Okay, so in order to have a vision, you need to have a personal vision, a leadership vision, and also understand your leadership style, which we are going to talk about shortly. That's why I didn't say too much, because it's one of the topics. Next question. I'm very passionate about this one. It's called Heart of a Leader. So we do have another question, so you can answer as we talk. I will definitely. So this is very personal. Leadership is such a personal thing. Some people think when you say, what's wrong with your company? The first thing they'll say, oh, my team didn't do this. When you decide, or when you're put in a space of leadership, everything begins and ends with you. So as you enter this session, I want us to be open-minded and unlearn. I'm not saying when I saw the poster that I was an expert, I'm like, okay, that sounds nice. but we are not experts. We are just sharing knowledge of journeys that we have taken. So for me, it means wisdom, courage, and compassion to lead others with authenticity, or lead transparency, humility, and service. Leadership is really about being a servant to the people you serve. I know when you think of a leader, you think of someone people are carrying things around for, or someone you report to. But for me, in leadership, it is serving others, whether it's serving the team that you're leading in your SME, serving the people that you're mentoring. So it's constantly about service. And leadership is, you're in a position where you're constantly giving. And most times you will not get anything in return. And I think sometimes there's a lot of disrespect that comes with it, but that's a story for another day. So some things to consider if you're, so this, I think I was visiting, I don't remember which African country I was visiting. And I looked around, I think it was Rwanda. And I looked around, yeah, it must have been Rwanda. And I looked around and I saw how much progress they had made. Because I lived in Rwanda in my 20s, and then I came back after 10 years, and there's so much change. And it hit me that in order for a nation to change, it really starts with the leader having a heart for his people. How do you improve social services for people? We're not asking for you to be perfect. So a leader is constantly thinking of others first. How do I improve the lives of the people I serve? Again, like I said, in leadership, responsibility begins and ends with you. I've worked in organizations where leaders throw their entire team under the bus to save their skin, yet it's them who have led the team down that rabbit hole. Sorry, there's someone, if you can mute, I keep getting distracted by you. Thank you. And then one thing I always say as a leader is when you have a team, no matter how weak they are, always expect the best for them and let them know that you expect the best for them. Because it helps build morale. I've had people who I thought would not even make it on my team, but they're the ones with encouragement and expecting, because we're not all from the same cloth, or we don't have the same intelligence, but everyone has something to offer. And if you constantly put our team members down, then it gives you poor performance. I cannot speak enough about wisdom as a leader. I think it was King Solomon, when God asked him, when God was pleased with him and asked him, what do you want? Solomon could have asked for all the riches, but the one thing he asked for was wisdom. And if you're Christian, in the Bible, Solomon is considered one of the greatest kings in the history of the Bible. I think he wrote Songs of Songs, so a lot of Songs of Songs has a lot of poetry. So we cannot sit back. And I'm if you're already on this call, it means that you hunger for wisdom and you hunger for the ability to grow and learn. So I wanted to just I wanted to tap on the heart of the leader and have not been upset at work in a long time. I tend to give everyone their space to be themselves. Lucky you. Okay. Don't often get upset, more disappointed, and explore differences. Okay, I think that's a nice way to handle conflict. A good way to handle conflict is to walk away. Someone said, give everyone space and come back when you're more settled and cool-minded. So a leader knows if you know your team. So if your team is, if you're upset, then you might say something that may cause the team to fall into disarray. So it takes a lot of humility to walk away and come back. I remember I was on a call with a friend who recently got promoted to a technical director, and someone on their team who's junior sent sent a suggestion via email and copied the entire everyone. And the first thing that hit him, he wanted to reprimand her and say, hey, I'm the technical director. You know, if the CEO falls sick, I'll be acting CEO or country director. So one thing he did was take a step back and listened to what they said. I think that really helped. Just taking a step back really helped him navigate a situation that might have turned difficult. Okay. So I know I've been saying this from the beginning. Leadership is really an inside job. No one is going to tell you what kind of leader you'll become. No one is going to hold your hand through your leadership journey. It will be a lot of discovery, a lot of learning. If you hunger for wisdom, your leadership journey will move a lot faster than if you do not have the hunger for wisdom. So in order to lead others, one must first truly know who they are. And in my experience, I feel that having an abundance mindset really helps leaders grow. I've seen team managers or even SMEs who suppress people on their team because they don't want them to move on and start their own organizations or something similar to them, or they want to stay in the role, and so you suppress the team below so they never grow and they stay stunted. So the only way they can grow is to move to another organization. I believe that as a leader, if you have abundance mindset, it really helps you be effortless in your leading. Because one, you have the heart for your team, and with the abundance mindset, your team is in a place where they trust you and support you. Yeah. So for me, in order to be a leader, you have to know who you are. You have to know your leadership style. Are you visionary? Are you a shepherd? Are you an entrepreneur? Do you have directional leadership? Are you strategic or managerial? You know, are you a micromanager? So for me, leadership, like I said, is a walk to servant leadership. To be a leader is to be a servant. And that's what a shepherd is. You look after your flock and you love them. So what kind of leader are you? It's very important to assess. And one thing I have to make clear is most people have more than one trait. Some people might be visionary and shepherd. So finding your mix will allow you, I think you can take different tests online, like how you take, is it personality tests where you're an introvert or an extrovert? So there are tests online that can sort of guide you on what your leadership style is. For some people, they ended up finding out that they are dictators. So please take the test with an open mind, answer the question with humility. I think one thing I've learned as a leader is I'm constantly humble, because sometimes you think you know how to do things. One of my friends asked me, how did you know you were a leader? And honestly, I can't say. Being the middle child, I constantly bossed my siblings around. And that's how leadership was instilled in me. I was the one who got everyone ready for school. So I would ask you, look into your past and see what you were doing as a child. You might find your leadership style. I think in the beginning, I used to be very managerial with my siblings. So it's either you do it or you don't, and we constantly fought. Even in the workspace, constantly fighting, but understanding that my leadership style did not work for the situation I'm in. And also on this journey, the one thing I've learned is, as a leader, you have to adjust to your team. Many leaders want the team to adjust to them, but no, you are a servant leader. So you adjust to accommodate the personalities and the teams that you're leading. Jennifer, I see your hand is up.
Yes, actually, there are a few. There's one question in the chat about the websites for testing the different leadership styles. So if you have that or the name, maybe we can send it. But I had a question as well. I think you touched upon it a little bit, but I wanted to ask you, like, if you believe like leadership is something that you are born with, or it's like it's innate or something you develop depending on your life and your circumstances.
I think both. I think some people are natural born leaders. For example, to be an orator, some people are just naturally born with it. But with everything, I think the Japanese have a saying that hard work trumps talent. So even if you have the talent and you don't put in the work, it will not take you anywhere. And as a leader, it's something that your environment can shape you into. It's something that you can grow into if you put in the work. I don't think anything in life, even if you're born with, comes easy. You actually have to put in work. If it doesn't come naturally as a talent, you possibly have to put in a little extra work. But I find that anyone has potential to be a good leader. Yeah.
Yeah, a very diplomatic answer, but I do see where you're coming from. Just to check if you have the link to the website for the
I will.
if not, we can get
I
back
don't
to
have
it
it right
after.
now. Yeah, we can
Okay.
get back to it after during the Q&A.
Okay.
I'll look for it and post it. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that breaks marriages or relationships outside money is communication. And a lot of people, like, communication is all about listening. Listening to understand. So recently, the team I work with, we do a lot of sales of Athens flows. So we have to go into local communities and sell these flows. But the one thing I learned is to listen and ask questions. So you're listening to understand, not to respond. Because if you're listening to respond, then you're definitely not listening to the person. You already have your answers in mind. I remember driving today with a friend and I made this mistake as well. And we are talking about feminism and how it has allowed women to choose whatever life. If they want to be a stay-at-home mom, if they want to work, it has allowed women that opportunity. And while he was giving his counter arguments against feminism, I already had answers in my mind. So I was listening to respond, and I don't think we agreed on a lot of things. It's until I realized what I was doing and then listened to him, I was able to respond with a clear mind. So leadership is to listen. And I know a lot of people will say, but I listen. The reality is you don't listen. You're listening to respond, not understand. So you're listening to actively listening to your team members, their ideas, feedback, and concerns without disrupting them and dismissing them. Like today, I realized I was dismissing my friends' opinions because for me, I knew the answer to, I'm a woman, so I know the answers. Until I took a step back and I was like, oh, I need to listen to him and then respond. Honesty is always key. I don't think honesty can be discounted in any leadership journey. And honesty doesn't mean I come and tell you about what food I ate that day. I'll give an example. When I was a country manager for fintech and we had not raised funding and so we could not pay salaries. I had a sit down with the team I was leading and told them, this is what is happening. And I do not know when this will be resolved. I'll understand if you leave the team or stay, the decision is yours. So being very honest with the team allowed us to make it through that very difficult season. Because I think funding had dried up and we are sort of in a recession that no one is really talking about. And also to get personal with your team. It doesn't mean go and check what their bedroom looks like. No, it means you ask questions. And you don't ask questions because you want to tick off a box, but you genuinely ask and want to know how they are so that you know where they're coming from. Then be specific. Do not beat around the bush. They say don't go around the corners. Talk to me directly. So with your team, if you want to go in a specific direction, the entire team should know exactly what you're saying. Don't give vague instructions to your team. Above all, keep an open mind. I know I spoke about this when I came on. I said, open your mind. I know there's someone who I met at a friend's home, and I told him, oh, I wrote a book. And he looked at it and he told me, yeah, I'm not buying your book because I read other higher level books. So my book would not add anything to his life. And it's okay. No one is, there is no, I'm not forcing anyone to buy my book, but I always ask people to be open-minded. Even if you've read 1,000 leadership books or you've gone to 1,000 leadership conferences, there's always something new to learn. And again, listen. Listen as a leader. But one thing I actually highly recommend is to read in between the lines. You know, sometimes your team or the people you lead might be telling you something, but they're not saying it directly. So you as a leader should be able to make decisions based off very little information. And this takes practice. This takes a lot of practice. That's why I said being an effortless leader requires a lot of work. For you, internally, you're doing a lot of work, but externally, it looks like you just woke up. You just woke up and, like Beyonce said, you woke up like this. But in reality, there are hours and hours of work that you've put in. Yeah. Ooh, this is a very heavy topic because I feel that in communities and workspaces, people feel that empathy is meant for people who are closest to you. So for me, one thing I've learned on this journey is to be genuinely concerned. So if you are asking them questions, you know the emotional well-being and the difficulties that your team members are going through. So I mean, just answer the question, do you consider yourself an empathetic leader? And that's a question that I want to ask to everyone. I think COVID-19 really, really shook us and forced us to look at ourselves beyond work because we were constantly working, it's constantly a deadline, bosses were screaming. But now people are at home, they are sick, some people are still going through the side effects of COVID. I mean, people say it's ended, but for some people's lives, they have long COVID. So as a leader, are you empathetic? Do you talk to your team? Do you know what their interests are? So leading with empathy is very crucial for successful leaders because especially if you're leading Gen Z, my God, maybe millennials like me might be a bit more forgiving, but as we enter the new workforce that's coming in, I don't think if you do not have empathetic leadership, you will make it through. Because they want people who are understanding. And one thing I always tell leaders, being result-oriented doesn't mean you're not empathetic, but it's very clear. You're very clear and concise to the people that you're leading. Be a supporter of both their professional and personal development. I remember my boss, I used to play ultimate frisbee, so I was always at tournaments. Oh, good. 78%. Well done, everyone. No one said no. I like the 22% that said maybe, because sometimes you don't know where you fall, Like I said, I had a boss who supported my ultimate frisbee career as I played for Uganda. And I was working full time and studying as well. But he always, every time I went to him to ask for time off, there was no question that he would give me time off to go play ultimate frisbee. And also show sincere concern for your team. Don't say, oh no, and then, go back to what you were doing. But genuine concern about their well-being, how they're doing, their families, because families really affect how people do things here. For me, some leaders are made either through training, skill acquisition, or environmental influences and desires. That's true. Leadership doesn't require you to have a position, rank, or management or other team. I agree, Kevin. I believe that everyone is a leader. If you're not leading people, you're leading your cats to eat. I mean, everyone is a leader. You're leading your pets. Everyone is a leader. And to say that only specific people can be leaders, I feel that that's misleading. That's why I'm a firm believer that leadership is something we can learn and grow into. Thank you for the comment, Kevin. This will be the last slide because I want this to be very interactive and I'm trying to. Yes. So leaders who are worth following are adept at passing on their leadership knowledge, and effective leaders are able to share their knowledge with others. And I just want to ask, how many people have you mentored? This year alone, like how many people have you mentored in your team, whether it's it doesn't have to be in the professional setting. You might be mentoring in the community that you serve. Maybe you have a bunch of young people who are playing basketball and you're supporting them on their journey to be the next NBA superstar. So one of the things about multiplication is you embrace accountability. I found that my team has always been loyal to me when I take on accountability, whether it's me who made the mistake or them. I always say, this is something that I'm going to handle and I'm going to take it in. And it's really been a game changer on my leadership journey. So this is number 2 is something I had to learn the hard way, to practice gratitude and celebrate wins. Because I come from a family where you're expected to do well. So no one is going to clap for you when you suddenly have achieved something, because it's expected of you. You're not expected to fail. So I had to learn how to celebrate every single win for my team. If it means going out for drinks or just sitting around and say, guys, we did such a great job. And then also creating a culture of kindness. What I always say is always to extend grace. Even if you don't know what someone is going through or they are not doing well, just extend grace and kindness to that person. And if you are mentoring or multiplying, is to provide clarity and direction. Because as a leader, you are there to be the light that people will follow. You light the path for those behind you. So if you're not clear and there's no direction, then you're not worth being a leader. And most importantly, focus on mentoring others. Be very, very deliberate about mentorship. Before, I used to sign up for a lot of mentorship programs, but now I'm very, very, very deliberate on how I mentor. One is I have to do an interview with you before I go on this mentorship journey, because with how intense it is for me, how intense I am as a leader. I'm one of those people who, if I'm doing something, I jump all in. I don't stand on the fence and say, oh, this looks nice, and no, I'll jump on it. So in order not to waste my time, I'm very intentional about mentoring, whether in where I volunteer or where I earn a living. All right. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope I have been able to share thoughts of wisdom, and the floor is open to questions. I don't know if anyone has any.
Thank you, Pamela. I've just shared some of the answers we've received. There's someone who mentored 192 people. It's a very specific answer. It's not 190, it's not 200, it's 192. We have also someone who mentored 3, but I guess also some people do not really count. They might have impacted wisdom or mentored indirectly people without really knowing. I guess this is another thing as well. Some people have been able, even sometimes you can say when you give advice to your friend, that's also somehow mentorship when it comes to like, specific advice when it comes to work. I wanted, I don't know, so if anyone has any question, feel free. Yeah, we have one from Dr. Rachel, I'm assuming. If you want to unmute, yeah.
Yes, I've unmuted. Very good evening to us all. Thank you very much, Pamela, for being able to share these insights. And I'm very excited to be here because I'm very passionate about leadership. I just have a few submissions to make, maybe 3. Number one, I want to also believe that some leaders are born. As a mother, I have seen traits in my children that point to the abilities of some of them being leaders. So what do I do then? I harness their leadership capabilities through, mentorship, the movies they watch, and also supporting them in school. And I'm privileged to say my daughter has been, perfect in her school for public speaking. I was there to campaign, really cheer her on to know that she got this. Yes. And also, I want to say that some leaders are made, right? Through the experiences that we go through, you spoke about empathetic leadership. I would like to lead or digress into adaptive leadership. I used to be totally 100 empathetic servant leadership, but I realized that the teams that I was leading and the people I was working with abused that kind of leadership. So what did I do through also being mentored and coached by another person? I decided to do a hybrid. So I do adaptive leadership. The external stimulus of the people I associate with will tell me which leadership style I should use in order to achieve the set goals. But by and large, very excited with the discussions, and please bring us more and more of this so that we can get a better at leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Actually, Pamela, that was going to be my question because of the topic of empathy. And I guess there's another word for it, which is adaptive leadership that Dr. Rachel mentioned. Because sometimes being empathetic as a leader more specifically gets people to take advantage of you. So you mentioned your boss who was basically very accepting of your Frisbee career. I didn't know this was this was the thing. And it's always surprising to hear a new career path. I'll tell you another story in a few minutes. But I mean, you were very sincere. Obviously, you were going to the practice or the games when you were telling him that you want to go. But also that means that some people might lie and really take advantage of that. So it's really about not having like one set of approach, but really adapting it based on the person, as far as I'm understanding from this conversation. So do you agree?
Yeah, so I just have to say that Dr. Rachel is actually my friend. So I know where she's coming from. So what I said in empathetic leadership, one thing I think maybe we skipped over is be result oriented, because as a leader, there are expectations of your team. Yes, there's all that empathy and kindness, but there's also, as a team, you have to function and have to achieve your goals. I think the challenge comes when we put all this, we think empathy is feeling sorry for someone. No, empathy means you also drive them to achieve the targets that you have set for them. It means that you want them to do the best. I think it's very important to make sure, yes, it's adaptive. And I also say, as leaders, we can't take our leadership style and think it will dissolve in there. For me, my leadership style is very, can I say, when I'm with a team, I'm a person who always says, come to me with solutions. Don't come with problems. Yes, you have a problem. That's good. But when you come to me, have several solutions. Let's discuss your solutions, not the problem. And then I realized in many teams, that's not something that comes naturally and you have to coach people. So I believe that leadership is adapting to your team, but not taking away the core of who you are. And that's very important as a leader, because if you constantly change your style, then you end up getting lost as a human being and you don't know where to stand on. I do believe leaders are born. I do not discount that. But then that, if you say leaders are born, that means many leaders will not appear in society. There are some unlikely heroes that we have seen come up. A good example is the president of Kenya. No one ever expected him to be president, but is he doing a good job? That's a question for another day. But he is leading the most successful East African country, the most powerful East African country. So there are many leaders who are born, but there are even many more leaders who have gone through the fire and have been refined like gold. You all know gold doesn't come out shining. No, it goes through a lot. There's so many processes. There's so much fire that goes to be turned into gold. Yeah, I think. Yeah, and I don't know if that. So I have shared the link to a leadership style. If that doesn't work for you, there are other tools online that you can look for that can help you figure out what your leadership style is. Yeah. Any more questions?
I'm going through the chat, but I don't think we have anything specific. But while we wait, I'm gonna actually run the last poll, which is not topic specific. It's the poll that we have every time at the end of this webinar. So please answer it. It's a quick one. It's yes or no question, nothing too complicated. I wanted to ask if anyone, I mean, since we are here and if we still have a few minutes, if there are any topics related to leadership or business management, let's call them, how to run a business, all of these things that you think would be relevant or interesting or want to know more about. Maybe this is like the first induction, I'm going to say it, call when it comes to leadership. But I know that there are a lot of topics, and most of the webinars that we've been having in the past are basically focused on technical knowledge, which is e-commerce, sales, AI, things like that. So it would be good to hear from you if you can type in the chat if you have any other related topics that you want us to cover. Probably not Pamela specifically, it depends on what the topic is, but we can also go and engage other experts. And I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, you are an expert. No one writes a book without actually knowing something about it. So you may be not an expert in everything, but you're expert in your subject matter. So just let me know in the chat. Also, one other thing, I do apologize. There seems to have been an issue with Zoom. So you can see on the call there are 4 or 5 people who have the same name as I do and have no idea why. So that was a bit of issue for people to join also in the beginning because I was not approving. I thought my account was hacked. I was not approving people who had my name to log in. So I apologize for that. That's probably a bug from Zoom. But just so you know, in case you wonder why there are so many people, they're not fake accounts, they're just different people with this name. Let me see what we have on the chat. Yeah, if the poll is asking about the digital trade, it's fine. Ignore it. Just continue the rest of the questions. There is also someone who has a question. I don't know if you want to unmute and ask or type it in the chat. Again, I'm not going to pronounce any names, not to butcher the name, but it would be good if you tell us how to pronounce it. I'm going to send the leadership test link again. Here it is. If we can be, okay, how to use AI for our business. Okay, this is already on my to discover topics. But if you can tell me like a little bit, what kind of business do you have? Is it e-commerce? so we can also be more specific. Yes, Kohinoor, if you want to ask your question.
Yeah, hello Jennifer. This is Kohinoor Yasmin from Bangladesh.
Hi.
Very happy to see again you because I have learned many things from ITC seated and my business expanded a lot. So nowadays I am receiving many invitations from in our country from the like a university student and college. They want to know more details. How did I did my success? So that also one of the very critical issue for me because audience is a full of young students. They want to know more details about my success and everything. How did I do my leadership issue also? So sometimes it's really difficult because my one is everything learning by doing. To be very honest with you, learning by doing. When something comes up, that time I have start and see and go for action. So please let me know how can I give my message to the young boys, young students about because my one is everything learning by doing. So how can I do this? You just give me a little bit idea. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think most, I don't know what generation is above me, millennials going up, we are really having challenges interacting with Gen Z. And I think the biggest thing is how social media has changed how people get information and how they view success. So for you, they might look at you and say they want to be you. But like I said, to be an effortless leader, it is paved with a lot of hard work and discipline. So your story is something that you cannot change. And I would recommend honesty. Just share it as it is. What did you do? Did you get a small $1 million loan from your father? Or did you start how did you start? Did you keep your day job and start a business on the side? How did you start your story that and your success? And tell them that it's going to take time. It's really going to take time, and that's the reality of life. No one gets wealthy overnight. Even those who seem that they have gotten wealthy overnight, there's a lot of hard work in the background. Unless you're a drug dealer, or you're doing something illegal, you're evading taxes, that's when it will come easy. I think that there's truth in honesty and honest work. So for me, that's my recommendation to you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
don't
you.
sugarcoat
So
it.
normally when I share my life experience, I always share about my honesty and sincerity and action. That also I always share when I speak with the young boys. I always speak like my challenges and my success and honesty and seriousness, such kind of thing. So that's why I am very much confused whether I'm in the right track or because you have a lot of experience and I saw your presentation really very much helpful for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, leadership is a thankless job. And even if you do your best, there'll always be someone who will think they can do better than you. And one thing, so there's emotional intelligence, but there's also something my brother and I were talking about recently, and it's adversity quotient, the ability to get through difficult times. As leaders, we need to build that because it's not going to be a walk in the park. Effortless leadership is difficult. It might take you 10 years to hack it. What I do is if I find a new team, I practice a new thing on them. And if it works, I'm like, oh, that works, okay. And that didn't work. So life is full of challenges. And the good thing is once you're alive, you can try anything. And if it works for you, if you read something in a book or you've learned something today, try it out tomorrow and see if it will work for you. If it works, keep it in your arsenal and keep pulling it out every time it's needed. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like how you give the tip in a very like in an example. Let's say it's like it's more of a mental image now. So every time I'm gonna try something, I'm gonna imagine myself pulling the trick out of my bag. It's like, okay, let me implement it now. It's kind of a storytelling approach as well. So this is it makes it more memorable. So there's something I'm going to learn from you and implement it as well. Probably not specific to leadership, but it's very useful. Do we have any other questions? So I shared again the link for the test. I think everyone's going to be doing that later today. If also, if you come up with the results or you have the results, feel free to share them on the Ecom Connect community. I think people will start to compare notes as well in terms of what kind of leadership type they have. I think we can stop here. It's also 6 p.m. my time. Thank you, Pamela, so much for all of the information you shared. I think a lot of people have said that also in the chat. It was, as you promised, nuggets of information kind of packaged in a very interesting approach, and it was definitely useful. Thanks again, and for everyone who is here or who was not able to join, we will be uploading the recording also to the Ecom Connect community, so you can watch it again if needed. That's it for me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everyone.
you.
Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.